everybody, and welcome to Tuesday, April 19th, 2022, West Seneca School Board of Education meeting. If we can begin with the pledge, please. Could I actually have the officers lead us in the pledge?
Of course. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We'll begin the meeting with the public comments on agenda items only section. Public comment section is a time set aside for the community to speak directly to the Board of Education. You should note that the first public comment section is only for items related to agenda items. The second section at the end is for any other comments. Each speaker is given 3 minutes with a total allotted time to last no more than 30 minutes. When called, please step up to the podium and state your name and address. Please be respectful in your comments and do not divulge any personal or confidential information. The information shared will be carefully considered and the appropriate person will contact you. If you'd like to be contacted, please leave your information with the district clerk. Do we have anyone that would like to speak on any agenda items this evening? Okay, then we will close that section. Thank you. We'll move on to the superintendent's report. Mr. Superintendent.
All right, thank you, Mr. Obedient. So good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. We've got a couple of great presentations tonight. Just a few things here I just wanted to be able to bring up. If you've driven by West Middle School recently, you'll see that some of the capital project work has begun over there. They've moved, there's a bus lane that they've basically kind of taken over because they're trying to start laying the groundwork for the foundation for the new addition to the auditorium. So that's all torn up. They have a new lot over there. They also started clearing the way for new parking as well. West Middle School could definitely use some more parking, so very excited about that. That's kind of on the northwest corner of the existing parking lot. There's going to be a big trailer over there too that they're going to be putting some equipment in for the music department. So very exciting to see that work get started. I can tell you there's been a lot of planning that has gone into this. Joe Farr, our superintendent of buildings and grounds, has worked very closely with his team as well as the folks over at Young and Wright, as well as the contractors, just to make sure that the students are going to be as little disruption as possible to the learning environment. So they also started some work in the music wing as well. So they're kind of relocating. Music department's been fantastic. They actually are they're very excited about the addition. They're looking forward to a good start in September. So what they thought was, let's get things started early on so that, to increase our chances for as typical a start as possible in September. So with that too, just recognition to our music department. I know you probably saw last week there was an email that went out. Once again, our music department, West Seneca, has been named Best Community for Music Education. I don't know if you saw that. So that's by the National Association of Music Merchants. I mean, really is quite an honor. This is the 6th consecutive year, I want to say, that we've been awarded this honor, but really we've got it like 9 times probably in the past 10 years. It's quite an honor. I mean, not only is it dedicated educators that support this, but our board, our community really has been very supportive of our programming as well. So very proud of that honor as well. I think it was the last board meeting that we had. We talked a little bit, the topic of free and reduced lunch applications came up. And just, I don't know that we necessarily stress the importance. I did put it in a brief, but I don't know if we necessarily stress the importance of having those completed. But we're going to be working with Elena Kala, our community relations coordinator, on this, just to really get the word out of how important it is for families to be able to fill these out. Basically, this would entitle a child to, free and reduced meals, free or reduced meals, lunch or breakfast. The reason it's important is, in addition to the child being able to get, a service that they are, rightly entitled to, it's also important too because those numbers count. That's how basically they determine a lot of our federal title money funding. So if people don't fill those out and they would qualify for them, we may be missing out on funds that really rightly should go to West Seneca families and support West Seneca education. So the money's going to be somewhere in the state. We'd like the portion of it that's rightfully belongs in West Seneca to be in West Seneca. So we just want to make sure we get that word out there. That's really important that people fill out those applications if they think they are even close to being able to qualify. It's something that people would rightly deserve. So when kids that have full bellies learn much better, I know as Mrs. Dalbo routinely says. So also too, I just wanted to put out there as well. So on May 4th, we're going to be having a parent forum over at West Senior. I'm excited about this. It's the first time we've kind of had a large scale forum. Basically, we've done similar forums in the past. We're kind of combining this a little bit. primarily focused on mental health awareness and supporting kids' mental health needs, but also on like social media, the impact of social media, how to monitor your child and help keep your kids safe on social media. There was a point in time, I just had a conversation with a parent about this today, where we used to say to parents or kids, just get them off social media. There's a time and place, but it's difficult these days for kids to navigate. So, and rather than just saying, cold turkey, get rid of it, how do we teach them how to responsibly use it? So I think it's going to be exciting. It's to be put on by our social workers, our psychologists, and our school counselors. Thank you to Dr. Lochran for helping to organize that. So that's going to be coming up. We're really looking forward to that. And I think that's pretty much it right now. I know we have a lot of presentations, so I'll try to keep my remarks brief tonight. Any questions on anything that I put out there? Okay, thank you.
Move on to the board president's report. I just want to take a moment and let everyone know that the petitions to run for school board were due yesterday. 7 people turned in. We had the number drawings this morning. Again, I want to thank Nicole for all the hard work she did with that. The first place on the ballot, Scott Robertson. Second will be Francis Hildebrandt. Third will be Edmund Bedient. Fourth is Jennifer Cuss. Fifth, Vincent Vanderlip. Sixth, David Rogers. And 7, Frank Zappia. If anyone's here, again, thank you guys for coming tonight. If anyone wants to stand up, you guys can wave. Not okay. Again, thank you everyone for putting in their names. The election and budget vote will be on May 17th. So again, keep your eye out for the different candidates. Get to know them and have fun with that. Thank you everyone for doing that. And this will be addressed at a later date. But again, Peter, thank you for your 3 years on the board, and we'll get you in June too. We'll get you some flowers and stuff.
No, you won't. That's good.
How about chicken wings? Do appreciate the 3 years here, though. Thank you. Move on to the superintendent's report, assistant superintendent's report. Do I see John? John, would you like to come up, please? Sure.
Busy night agenda tonight. Thank you. Hope everyone had a nice recess. Very busy, as I've kind of shared, gearing up spring season. Hopefully, as you can see in your agenda tonight, lots to be excited about. Some considerations of some new positions being added that I think greatly impact our students. Also, a retirement on there, so I'd like to wish those people well. And some resignations, also some appointments. So when you see bus driver appointments and teacher aide appointments, those are things to be excited about. Though it is a challenge in our district, just like many other organizations and businesses, to recruit good help and good employees. So we're excited about that. We are in the midst of planning and preparing for next year. Continuing looking at staffing, preparing for our transfer season where employees have an opportunity to post or bid on any open positions, etc. And working through some of our secondary numbers as our students finalize their requests for next year. So, and obviously the spring is a time where we are hiring and bringing on new employees and closing out the current year with our newer employees and our veterans. So a really exciting time, a busy time, and it will be a full sprint right up until we start the school year in my world. So any questions for me? All right. Well, enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Carm?
Hi, everyone. We should be welcoming you back to spring recess vacation instead of winter, but it feels like it's pretty much winter outside. Hope everybody had a good break. I did want to just officially let everyone know that we were granted the grant, pardon the pun, for the kindergarten transition program. We were one of 6 awardees across all of New York State, so I'm really excited about that. This Friday we have a meeting with the larger committee where we will work to subcommittee out all of the stations that we plan on having that evening. Again, that's August 24th from 5 to 8 at the West Seneca Soccer Complex. We are currently a team of myself and Franco de Pasqua and some AIS teachers and Kim McCurtain are doing some site visits to local districts around the area to look at some of the math intervention programs for elementary kids. Do the Math is the one that we're currently looking at right now. So right before break, we visited Newport. They are in their first year of implementation, and tomorrow, actually, our team is going out to Kenton. They have been utilizing that math intervention program for quite some time, so we wanted a point of comparison, someone who's just starting out with someone who has been doing it for some time, to see how that would work and help to meet our needs with our kids in math at the elementary level. We are currently working with Boces as one of a few districts who are piloting an Education Pathways New Visions Program Academy with Boces. Looking to do that this fall. I believe the cohort they're looking to have is about 8 to 10 students total amongst the pilot districts. We're one of them. So hoping that we can send 2, one from each high school. This fall, it will take place at Buff State. Students have to be a senior next year, and they have the potential to earn up to 12 credit hours towards their college degree. So we're working with each of the counselor department chairs at West Senior and East Senior to identify some potential students. Lastly, I just wanted to note that right before break, I was able to go over to East Senior High School and look at some of the Seal of Biliteracy presentations from our students. Really exciting. The kids are doing a great job. Some are doing it in more than one language, which is really remarkable. So I'm looking forward to going to West Senior when they're ready to do their presentations to watch the kids succeed in that endeavor as well. So that's all that I have for tonight. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we'd move on to our student representatives report. Abigail and Megan reached out to me. Everything is going so great at the high schools, they couldn't make it tonight. They have so much going on. Anyone on the board aware of anything fun? I know there's a lot of different fundraising events coming up, East and West Sports Boosters. I know Marching Band just recently had one. I know there's some sporting events coming up. There were some great musical performances. Anything anyone know about that I want to throw in there while we're here?
Students of Excellence dinner.
Students of Excellence dinner is
Wednesday.
next Wednesday, about 26, 27 from each school.
27,
Yep, excellent, yep, it's a great program. I'm not sure if anyone from the board is going. Some of us are going because they're kids, student of excellence. Some of us are going because we're sponsors. Some of us are going because we're on the board. It's going to be a great evening. I love it, and I think it's probably one of my favorite events to attend that this district holds. So thank you for mentioning that. Anything else anyone know? Anyone? Okay, we'll catch up with them at the next meeting. Thank you. Move on to the West Middle School presentations. Dave Key. You can use.
How's everyone doing tonight?
All right, thank you for coming.
What's that? We got it. So over the last, I guess starting in September, it was a lot of questions and a lot of uncertainties. Masks and test to stay and test not to stay and quarantines, and it's like wow. But at the end of the day, at the end of the month, at the end of the semester, it was quite an accomplishment on seeing what our kids and how they persevere through all of that, and it was awesome to watch and sometimes struggle through together with them, but utterly impressed with the way they persevered and came through, and dove right back into the many things that we do over at West Middle and throughout all West Seneca. One of the things they're not my bodyguards. One of the things I'm really proud of is our Capstone project, and I asked Holly McDonald and Isabel Bucky to join us because they can speak much better on the Capstone and what we have been doing and what we plan on doing over the next few months. So I'm going to turn it over to them because they're going to do a much better job. So Holly and Isabel.
Thank you. I'm Holly McDonald. And I'm Izzy Bucky. We are part of the Capstone Class in West Middle School. The Capstone Class was originally supposed to be started, I believe, 2019, but COVID and all the craziness pushed it back. So then we were like the guinea pigs to start this year. So what Capstone is it's a class, it's a pass or fail class, and we get enriched with the community, and we learn 21st century skills like STEM presentations and like all this stuff preparing us for what our future is going to look like.
We've been working on a lot of different things this year. We did a food drive that we raised over
Over 2,000.
2,000 pounds of food for Feed More West Seneca, New York. And we are working on renovating the garden out in our courtyard outside. And then there's also the passion projects that each student has been working on individually.
So the passion projects are basically, we had to pick a topic at like, I want to say second quarter, and now we've been researching it and looking into it, and it has to be something that we're passionate about, kind of like passion project, kind of, yeah. So my passion project is about mental health and well-being, and it's just something that's really close to me, so I am in the works of creating a blog where people can share their experiences about mental health and how they're coping with it, so then other people can branch off of that and help each other out as a community.
My passion project is focusing on kids and families who can't afford instruments for their kids who love music. So I'm holding a fundraiser concert on June 4th to raise money for kids who can't afford instruments that desire to play music. And that is Capstone.
Does anyone have any questions?
What instrument do you play? I play piano.
Can I ask about that garden over at West Middle? You're talking about the one right out in the center, kind of near the library, sort of?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are working on that. That's fantastic. I love that. That's great. And 2,000 pounds of food?
Yeah.
Congratulations on that, too.
Thank you.
The weather was in December is much like today.
I have a question. So your capstone class, how long does that last? Is that the entire year?
Yes.
Is it like an elective for you?
Yes.
Okay.
They select students in 7th grade who want to participate in Capstone, and you have to do projects over the summer to become a part of it, and it's a really fun class to take.
And how many kids are
There's
involved?
a little over 17
Yeah.
kids.
17 right
Awesome.
now. I think it's going to grow.
Yeah. That's like an independent study class at the middle school level. That's awesome. Good job, girls.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you guys. Very nice job.
Thank you.
I told you they'd do a much better job than I ever would. You know, some of the other things that are going on at West Middle, we have our supper club, which is a girls club that kind of, you know, not only teaches them some of the social, you know, social issues and social concerns that are dealing with middle school girls during today's day and age, but it also, they do it in the kitchen while prepping meals and things like that, and it's awesome. They meet every Thursday for 10 weeks, I believe, and they're wrapping up in the next few weeks with they invite their moms, and they have a nice dinner, and they prep a dinner, and they talk about what they learned and what they've done, and it's an awesome organization. But moving on, we have like Builders Club, we have National Junior Honor Society, we have Student Council, and it's great because Capstone and all these other kids are coming together to work on, I believe it's April 29th? The 30th. April 30th, and we're going to get together and we're going to kind of team up on that courtyard. So if anyone's available and wants to come do a little gardening on April 30th, you are more than welcome. But I'm just extremely proud of what they've been doing and some of the things that they're moving forward. I had a meeting 2 weeks ago with our student council president, and he was asking, well, what's the game plan for the upcoming spring? What do we got going on? And I'm just like, let's do it, whatever you guys want to do. And so collectively we worked and came up with some things that were on the calendar and some things that weren't, but I'm just going to walk and pass these around for everybody. It's simply just a list of all the events that are upcoming for the next few months. Please feel free to, there are concerts, there are dances, feel free to come to any of them, come to all of them. If you're into middle school dances, by all means. But probably the concerts and things like that would probably be better. But it's just a list of some of the things that are upcoming, and it just feels good to get back to some normalcy after a long time of questions. So we're just happy to be doing that. The last thing I just wanted to, I was asked, well, is there somebody that's really sticking out over the last few months, few years, and so forth? And immediately when I was asked that question, it was a no-brainer. I'm going to bring her up here to embarrass her a little bit. Mrs. Mary Jo Kemp is our special ed teacher in 8th grade, and I guess I can just sum it up as an absolute rock star. She was in 6th grade, teaching at West Middle in 6th grade special ed, and I was worried that my car tires were going to be slashed after I told 6th grade teachers that she's moving up to 8th grade. They were that disappointed in that decision, and it's something Ms. Kemp is passionate about English, and she had an opportunity to teach self-contained ELA at the 8th grade level, and she is just, like I said, an absolute rock star. Not only with her kids, but the colleagues across the 800 wings. She gets everyone going. Just a few months ago, it was named the
the band that
has a food.
Meatloaf passed away.
Meatloaf.
And I said, what other bands?
The day Meatloaf passed away, it was.
Yeah, like what other bands are named after food? So all day we were just.
Every time I walk by, I'm like, oh, M&M. So she just keeps things light. She keeps things fun, and it's obviously it's contagious. It's contagious with her kids. It's contagious with her students, and she's such a hidden gem in this district. So I just wanted to give her a shout out, and I do have a little. Oh, it's on here. Here you go, a little.
Oh, thank you.
Chocolates in there.
Yeah.
At least one. Save me one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms.
Thank you. Wonderful leaders and wonderful mentors and wonderful students that inspire me every day. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kennedy.
Thank you.
So that's about it. And I know if you have any kids that go to West Middle, hopefully they came home a couple weeks ago talking about the field trip we took a couple of weeks ago to the BNCC. I know there are some kids still talking about it. The point of the BNCC was just to some of the regulations were gone. Some of them, it was the week of the mask were gone, and it's just this new, fresh feeling of yes, some freedom. And so we arranged the BNCC. It's a volleyball club, quarter mile from our building, and we did team days. We did 8 different team days, and we buses. Linda O'Grady was great to pick us up and drop us off, and the cafeteria staff was awesome, and we got bag lunches. We ordered some teams ordered pizzas, and just had an awesome day. It was an opportunity where they could do sports, where they could play games, where they could just be kids. And as a classroom teacher for 16 years, I need that structure. Here's my anticipatory set. Here's what I'm doing. Here's my content. Here's my closure and the story. That was difficult to let go. I know I could never be a phys ed teacher. That was difficult to let go and allow kids to be kids. But after the first day, I came back, and Ms. Martino's shaking her head, yes. I told the other teachers, I go, we're fine. They figured it out for some reason. They knew what to do. We're okay. It was awesome. And not only that, it was awesome for our kids to see our teachers, not behind a screen, not behind a mask, but just being people too. Some of them turned into quite the gym class heroes and ruined maybe their shirts because they were going pretty hard with the kids, whether playing football or basketball or just some serious Uno. So I'm just going to leave you with a brief clip of one of our team days. Mrs. Kubiak is one of our school counselors, and she's quite the photographer. And she's been experimenting with aerial footage and things like that. So she threw together a video for each of our teams, so 8 different videos, and she shared that with them via Google Classroom. And I think it was a nice, summary of that day. So I'm just going to leave you with that, and thank you for your time, and have a nice evening.
Just one question. Did Mrs. Duza stick that cartwheel? Okay. In that case, did she fill out the workers' comp form?
Great, thank you for that.
Impressive.
Yeah,
Can I just say one thing?
yeah.
Mr. Keene, we talk so much about like the last 2 years and what our kids have been through, and like I get emotional just watching that, like watching our kids just be kids. But thank you for, for recognizing the importance of social, emotional, it's important. And, everybody's been through the ringer the last 2 years, but, that sort of thing is really important to our kids. And thank you for recognizing that. Thank you for giving our kids the opportunity to just be kids.
It was an awesome number of days, and
Yeah.
it was, they came back, are still talking about, like, we do that every month. But it was awesome to see kids, like I said, kids being kids.
Thank you.
I just want to add in there, again, thank you for doing it, but what great resource we have as far as in our town, the BNCC, and for them to work with you on that.
Katie Vaughn was phenomenal, and anything we needed, she was there to help us and guide us, and just, yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
Always her answer.
A lot of great businesses in the community that step up, and glad they were able to work with you on that. That was really, really great idea. Thank you. And Jen, you were asking about the kids.
What percentage of kids, it seems like they're all involved in some activity.
Yeah, that's great.
Always nominal, yeah,
Excellent,
almost all.
excellent. If we can invite the school resource officers up here to present. I allotted you guys about an hour and a half.
Or 20 minutes?
20 for everyone else except for Officer Ryback. He just got extra hours.
We're very excited to have you guys here as well. Thank you.
For you, not for me, following Dave Keene, I had to fix that. So thank you so much for having us here tonight. We have a very special presentation for you. And thank you for all of your continued support of our SROs and the program over the years. We are very fortunate to have them in all of our buildings. They are very involved in our day-to-day operations, on our safety teams, on discussions about our children and what's in their best interest. They are visible and make connections with our children and our families every day, which, is like, as Mr. Keene was alluding to, talk about making that personal connection. It really gives them a different relationship with our police department, and another person to go to, another safe person, a trusted official in our buildings. That is really so important for all of our children. And so we are very, very thankful to have the collaboration that we do with the West Seneca Police Department. So I don't want to steal their thunder as they share about all the things that they do, but it is my pleasure to introduce all of our SRO officers tonight. So I will go down the line here. We have Officer Michael Ryback, who's in our elementary buildings. We have Officer Dave Quick, who's at West Middle. We have Officer Jeremy Maloney, who is at East Senior. We have Officer Adam Schnitzer, who's brand new to East Middle. And we have Officer David Jarzak, who is at West Senior. So we are very fortunate to have this team. And right now I'm going to turn it over to Officer Ryback, who's going to start off our presentation tonight. So thank you again for all of your support, because we really are very fortunate to have this team of wonderful individuals.
Okay, that's it. Thank you so much, yeah. All right, thank you, Dr. Lackren. And just want to thank everybody. Hold on, what do we do? There we go, okay. So just want to start off by thanking the Board of Education for allowing us to come in and speak with you tonight. This program is something that I know I speak for all 5 of us up here when I say this is something that we all really care about. It's something that we enjoy coming to work every day, getting to work with the staff and the students and the families here in our district. So just to give you a little synopsis of what we do on a daily basis, certainly this isn't an exhaustive list, but just kind of to give the board a little taste of what we do. One of the big things with the SRO program, in our opinion, is collaboration. It's collaboration between the police department and the school district, and on a smaller level, it's collaboration with the school resource officer and the building administrator, to include the pupil personnel staff. Dr. Lochran, who heads up that department, all of our social workers, our counselors, our psychologists, that whole team. And we really feel proud that we are a member of that team in each one of our buildings. And we work collaboratively with that team to keep our buildings safe. As you said, there's 5 school resource officers here. We are able to support every level in the district, secondary and elementary, which is, I can tell you, is the envy of a lot of our neighboring districts. We have friends in other districts and friends in other police departments that ask us, hey, how do you guys get this to work? Because we want this in our community. So again, thank you for supporting this program. We have bi-monthly building safety meetings where we get our building safety team together and we talk about what's going on in each building. And then we kind of use that as a springboard to work with other members of our school community to kind of get things done if there is an item that gets brought up to our attention that maybe needs a little bit more attention with regards to safety. We collaborate with the district safety meeting, with the district safety team, I should say. And then, like I said already several times, and probably going to repeat ourselves several times, collaborating with the members of our school community to make sure that when the parents send their children to school every day, they know that they're going to be safe. And that when our staff members come to school every day, they know that we are going to work tirelessly to make sure that they're safe when they're in our buildings. So I'm going to turn over the next one to Officer Maloney.
So as Officer Ryback already touched on, each school has its own safety team. So it's the responsibility of the SRO to work in collaboration with the administration to ensure everything's running smoothly, especially when it comes to the drills. So our lockdown drills and the fire drills are mandated by the state. We have to have 8 fire drills each year and 4 lockdowns. The lockdowns is, if anyone's unaware, it's kind of like the worst case scenario. That's where you're hiding in the room, it's quiet, doors are locked. And fire drills, the same it's been forever, where you're just quietly getting out of the building. It's in this responsibility of the safety team to make sure all of that is running smoothly. We also have 2 that some people may be unfamiliar with. It's a lockout, which that's just, there could be an emergency somewhere in the community that's close to the school district or the school building, and we might be notified by other members of the police department where we're just going to kind of go normal business, but we're not going to allow anyone into the school. And then also shelter in place, that's where there may be like a medical emergency in the school, so we're just going to keep everybody inside their classroom and keep the halls clear just until we can clear up exactly what that situation was. So mine's short and sweet, so now we'll move on to the next.
So with those drills, as Officer Ryback stated, it's our goal to maintain a safe school environment. We also provide training to faculty and staff. We have annual emergency response training. We also have an enhanced lockdown training, which includes workshops and drills to better prepare for emergencies that may arise. We also conduct CPR, AED, and first aid training to faculty and staff. And during staff development and superintendent conference days, we can provide any type of training that each building needs, which any of those things we can provide, or anything that's thrown at us, we can come up with a plan and provide training to the faculty and staff.
I just want to talk just briefly about the enhanced lockdown training. So that's something that's kind of unique that we do, where we offer to our faculty and staff a workshop where they can do it after school hours or during like a staff development day, where the school, we work as a team and we train our teachers, our faculty and staff on the Department of Homeland Security's run, hide, fight technique. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it's the recommended action steps that you should take if, God forbid, you're ever in a situation of that worst case scenario, active shooter type of thing. But we also talk a little bit about the mindset of attackers and ways to disrupt their actions. We teach the teachers and the staff on proper ways to barricade their classroom or office, strategies on how to overpower an attacker if that worst case scenario happens, and then we wrap it all up with a full-scale scenario that we keep very light. These are very scary topics to talk about, and we understand that. So we do it in a manner where the teachers are able to learn from it, but aren't so overwhelmed by fear that they're not learning, right? So we kind of wrap it all up, or we come into the room and they take us down, and it's really a valuable training that we've gotten a lot of really good feedback on.
Good evening. Thanks again for having us. I'm just going to touch on some of the ways we work with the educators in each building. And to me, this is one of the funnest parts of the whole program. And I'm honored to be part of it. And like I said, I have a lot of fun doing it. This is a part where we get into the classrooms and we interact with the students. And it's really about relationship building. Everything we do is great, but the relationships that we build as a result of it with students and their families, and even the staff in the schools, is the best part about it. So you'll see that we do kindergarten there. Officer Quick and I just spent 2 weeks in pretty intensive training to learn the DARE curriculum, and we've been able to bring that back to the schools. Starting as early as kindergarten, there's little storyboard presentations that we can give. It's not like super drug-based yet in the kindergarten level. It's more about, strangers, how to call 911 in case of emergency, maybe some threats at home, cleaning supplies, what's safe at home, what's not safe at home, things like that. We work with child abuse prevention. We teach kids, hey, this is a dangerous situation. You want to get yourself out of this. How do you maintain safety? And also to watch out for sexual predators, as we know it's prevalent in today's society. We've been able to bring the DARE program into the middle schools as well. And it's funny, I was thinking back to when I was in there. I'm a product of West Seneca schools myself, so it's cool to come full circle and be back teaching there in the classroom. And I remember myself just how far the DARE program has come. I remember, I think I was in 5th or 6th grade at Potter Road Elementary School, and it was Officer McMahon, I believe at the time, who came in and did a presentation on drugs. And it was good, but I don't remember, like I said, a ton of it. And the program's expanded to talk about all kinds of things that students are facing today. They teach students how to make good decisions, which is huge. Related to drugs, alcohol, tobacco, but also related to stress situations. We teach them how to become good communicators, how to deal with bullying. The next bullet point down is internet and computer safety. And DARE just came out with a brand new program to teach how to be safe online. So I just had a chance to review that today. Really good stuff. Hopefully we'll be able to implement that into the classroom soon. Just one more slide. And like we said before, this isn't an exhaustive list. We will literally do everything we can and anything we can to work with teachers and building administrators to get into classrooms, get into auditoriums, and just be useful to the staff and teachers at the school. We do criminal law, forensic crime scene investigations. Around prom time, we'll get into the DWI discussions, making safe decisions around alcohol. Right, the goal is that nobody drinks around prom time, and that's not always true. But if you're not drinking, how do you make safe and responsible choices when you're around those who are? And we do freshman orientation for the freshmen coming into high school. They've been used to seeing us in the schools, obviously, but maybe it's a different level, different type of relationship in the senior high schools. So we're there for that, and we work with the students and their parents at that time, just so they know what to expect seeing us in the schools.
Oh, sure. Okay. So, and as we stated earlier, we think that a big part of this program too is prevention, and prevention is hard to quantify. It's in building the relationships, like my colleagues have said, building the relationships with our students, our families, our teachers and staff, and working closely and building on those relationships. So, hey, if something is brewing, even after hours, I know we get frequent calls, not too frequent, but we get frequent calls from folks saying, hey, this is something that got brought to our attention. What do you think about it? We're available to our administrators, pretty much 24/7. Something comes up, we want to know about it, even if it's after hours. So if it's something that we have to address first thing in the morning, we're there, ready to help. Talk about our Kids Escaping Drugs Partnership. Options, right?
Again, thank you, everybody, for having us. Officer Jarzik, West Seneca West Senior. I am the liaison to kids escaping drugs. They have multiple different subcommittees, one of which is face-to-face. Particularly in the high schools, it's very useful. If a kid, unfortunately, gets caught with a vape or some type of drug they obviously should not have, it is offered to them to shorten their suspension by going to a 2-day educational seminar through kids escaping drugs. So instead of just, it being purely punitive and just punishing a kid and suspending them, we give them the option to learn about what they're doing, especially with vapes. A lot of kids just think it's no big deal, and they see the funny truth commercials and they kind of laugh it off until they actually go to the campus of Renaissance House and actually speak to the counselors that are in this every single day. Much more impactful to them as opposed to just suspending them, and hopefully, they learn the lesson simply from that.
We also have something that's unique to West Seneca, our West Seneca Youth Court. Anytime a person under the age of 18 gets in trouble with the police, normally they would go to family court. That's who has primary jurisdiction over those types of offenses. So family court has partnered with West Seneca Police Department to allow us to run a program called Youth Court. And we can put kids into the Youth Court program, and as long as they follow through with their community service, it's something that gets sealed and it doesn't affect the rest of their lives. And our Youth Court program is cool, for those of you who don't know about it, because it's all run by kids. We take our Youth Court members from West Seneca schools. So we will recruit our Youth Court members usually starting in 8th grade. We'll go into the middle schools and talk with the counselors and social workers and say, hey, who are some kids that you think might be interested in Youth Court? And then bring them in, train them, and then usually they follow through with us up until they graduate from high school. And there's some pretty, believe it or not, I was looking through our attendance records, and they go back pretty far. There's some pretty big names in there, some politicians and stuff. I was like, oh, holy cow, this give us a youth court? Awesome. So yeah, it's a great program. So
We had a wonderful board that started youth court. I was on that board in the 80s before I went on the school board.
Oh, really?
And very passionate officers that led that. They're deceased now. But I'm glad that you're still doing youth court.
It's a great program.
It's a great program.
It is.
Yeah.
Bring it home.
One final slide, and I'm not sure how this got in there, but here we are, folks. I promise you that picture that appears to be me in a Green Ranger costume, that is surely Photoshopped, folks. For anyone that's streaming, that is surely Photoshopped. No, that is actually me on Halloween at West Senior, greeting the kids as they all walked in. And as Officer Schnitzer had said, if I've learned anything, I've been at West since January 21. If I've learned anything, people know what the police do, especially with the high schoolers. I'm speaking, I guess, strictly to the high schoolers. They have a general understanding what police do as far as arresting and that type of police power. But really, this whole role is about building relationships. It's about prevention. We've all worked the road for many, many years, and everything is reactive on the road. You're going there after a problem happens, and then you look to us to help solve that problem. In the schools, we are hoping to get there before that problem begins. Diversion, as Officer Ryback said, with youth court is tremendously helpful to expose kids to a little bit more accountability for their actions without it being a full-on family court issue. That is the entire point of this program. If I could speak out of line a little bit and call that out, it is to be preventative and educational to these kids, and all of that starts with building relationships, and sometimes that might mean wearing a Green Ranger costume, and I also wore Buddy the Elf, and actually Officer Maloney wore a bunny costume for Easter. Yes, he did, and that wasn't Photoshopped either, folks. So whatever we can do, if it's putting on a costume, or sometimes I'll wear basketball shoes, just to better relate to the kids, to soften our image a little bit so that they come and talk to us just a little bit more and feel a little bit more safe around us. That's the point of everything, is to generate dialogue, build relationships, and I can speak for these 5 when I say we got a heck of a team put together right now. We're very new. I've been here, I think I'm the second most senior guy in this program, and only 15 months into this program, but I promise you, all of us share an incredible amount of passion for the students, for the schools, and I'm very excited to see where this program can grow into. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I gotta tell you guys, one of the first times we were doing a board tour years ago, and we were trying to have a conversation with it was West Middle, I believe, one of the SROs, and we just kept getting interrupted by these kids just coming over to say hello and how you doing. I couldn't believe it. Like, I think that's the first time I kind of fell in love with the concept, because I was so impressed with how much the kids were going out of their way to say good morning and talk, and it was just like, wow, it really moved me on that. And then, there's been, recently I was at a football game, and I got to see an incident start to develop, and I thought it was one of the greatest things. As soon as Officer Jarzak just showed up, like as soon as he was there, he knew all the kids by names. They all stopped what they were doing, come over, and they were talking to him, answering questions, got time for the principal to come over and deal with it. But the amount of respect that everyone had for you and, your group was great. But you knew everyone by name, and they talked with you, but immediately the situation de-escalated, and it turned into hey, let's all just figure this out, as opposed to hypothetically say a fight or something that could have developed. And it was just so impressive to see what you guys do. I don't really consider, it's just not your job. The way you guys live this, it means a lot. My kids bump into you in events. They want to go over and talk to you guys. They see you just out in public. Dad gets pulled over. No, I'm just kidding. But they reach out to want to go talk to you guys, as opposed to, we don't want to get involved with the officers. So that means a lot. And I was very excited to have you guys present tonight. I believe Matt asked when we were going to invite you guys, who do you want? And I'm like, the board were like, we want all of them. So thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Guys, if I could just say real quick too, when I talk to my colleagues in other districts, this program, this is the city on the hill. Like what you guys have been able to establish here. And I remember back when I first came into the district, 2 officers, and they worked very hard to build the credibility of this program. And now look at it's grown to 5 officers. And again, like I talk to other colleagues in other districts, and they're just dumbfounded when I describe the relationship we have. This is community policing at its finest. 7,000 people on our campus every day between staff and students, and 5 guys here are making a major impact every day. I really want to just thank you again for all the work that you do.
Any other questions about anything? Everything good? Thank you for coming. Now we can hear about facilities usage master library. Probably one of the coolest things I've heard about in a while. I'm really excited to hear about this.
Hi. Good evening. Here, I'll stand over.
I know.
Okay, go.
I know, I'm a big nerd about this.
The mic. We're both loud enough. Yeah. You can hear us, right? Yep. Okay. All right. So good evening. We are here to present to you a really short presentation, because we were already at the policy meeting, to talk about the policy 3280, which basically means facility usage. If you look at the current policy in practice right now, what it shows is it starts with something as simple as a phone inquiry, okay? A phone inquiry that comes in to either a building clerk or principal, the athletic department, community ed, a school board member sometimes, come into anybody, okay? I'm telling you right now, we worked on this flow chart for about an hour, and this is only probably about a third of the process. We started to run out of room.
And if it looks confusing, that's because the whole process is.
It's very confusing. It starts with an inquiry, and once we go to a building, if that inquiry already came into multiple people, it's literally an if yes or if no game. Okay, if it's yes, we go to the next step, but if it's no, then we're circling back. And in our current process, we're constantly circling back. Okay, and I see Molly, the confusion in you. What do you mean you're circling back? We're circling back with something as simple as a permit comes in, an inquiry comes in, and the dates don't work. We're starting all over. Okay? Now we get the dates to work, but that room doesn't work. Okay, now we're going back. We're starting all over. Okay? So there are a lot of people involved, but the first people it always starts with right now is the senior clerk in the building. And sometimes via the district website, we do have people put in inquiries with every single senior clerk in the district, and they don't know that. So it's really not time effective, right? It's not cost effective. It's not staff effective if we have multiple inquiries coming into multiple people at a time and we don't realize it. So The new policy, the only thing that has really changed in the wording is that these requests are going to have to start coming in via the district website, which is where the new practice will be master library.
So we found a site that some other school districts use in the area. Orchard Park does, Eden does, and a couple other ones are piloting as we speak. But we're suggesting to use Master Library. It's as simple as when you go to the building usage website, you'll see these two links. One says register for an account, and you're going to click here. The other one says if you already have an account. The nice part with this is we could also put a video on there that shows people exactly what they're going to have to do. But if you're a new user and you're registering for an account, it's super easy. You're going to click on this link, you're going to go in, you're going to put in your name, your group's affiliation, what exactly your group is, a group classification, which we're proposing that there's 4 different group classifications, and then you're going to upload your certificate of insurance. That's going to automatically send to Karen Flatley, who will double check with our insurance company, make sure all the ducks are in a row, and then that group is going to be an approved user. Once the group is an approved user, this is where it gets even better for all parties within the district, is they're going to go onto this account, and they're going to enter in this, they're going to start the permit approval process, and in there, they're going to go and they're going to click on one of the buildings that they need. It could be the high school, it could be a classroom, it could be the cafeteria, whatever is in that designated spot, they're going to click on there. They're going to put all their needs on there because it's going to be listed. If they need 15 chairs, if they need a podium, if they need lines painted on a field, they're going to put all that stuff in there, and if they need AV, so nothing is going to be last minute. And everybody's going to know about it. Then what's going to happen is they're going to click it. Each room and building is going to have 4 designated approvers. For instance, if it was a west, we'll take Dave's building, west, middle, classroom. The first person on there is going to be Dave or his secretary. He'll get an email from this system saying you have a new request in there. Dave will go on there, check the date, see if he's got any events at that school that day. No, it looks good to him. He's going to click yes. The next person that it's going to be is whoever Mr. Farr picks. If it's the building custodian or if it's a grounds person, it could be based on that room. That custodian's going to look and say, okay, they're running an event for 15 people. We can handle that. It's a Monday night at 6 o'clock. I'm okay with that. We're open. We're staffed. That person clicks approval. The next person it's a classroom. They might need AV setup. It could be Mr. Pacer, Mr. Firkins, who's ever on there. They click yes. Then it would go to Karen Flatley, who would check over the billing to make sure that there wasn't any charges that needed or anything. Then that user group gets approved. Everything's done. Everybody has a copy, and then we also have it set up so Mr. Farr knows. He would get an email. Everybody would receive an email that on Monday, April 30th, I don't really know if that's Monday, there's an event going on. This is what they need, and that stays on the calendar. The nice part about that is then it also uploads to the district's calendar, so that the next group that wants to look and say, hey, can I run a PTO meeting on Monday at West Middle? Oh, no, I can't. It's booked that day. So they can pick a totally different day. So we're not making all these phone calls again. And then if it's no, what would happen if it happens to be we're double booked? Actually, the website it doesn't allow you to go further if there's an event that day. But let's say it was something that it was too large and we just couldn't handle it. We needed more staffing, something on there. The parking, the custodian or whoever is on that approval process, they put no. They put in their notes the reason that it's no. That automatically sends back to the group that did the request on that. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
I mean, the best way to characterize it right now is our current practice is like an upside down funnel. We start at one point and it just sifts out to way too many people at once. Okay? We're taking that funnel, we're taking all that information, we're dumping it in, and it's streamlining it straight down. There's not going to be any running in circles. There's not going to be any backtracking, going through 17 emails to remember what did we say.
Mrs. Pescia could speak from experience on trying to do it. It's also like, if we do have a book, let's say the room is booked, it could be 5 different phone calls to 5 different building principals to say, hey, do you have the gym available? Is your gym available? I need to move something over there. Is it available? And a lot of times the people that we're calling don't know the answers right away. So this complicated process is also taking a couple of weeks instead of what could be done in a matter of minutes on a website.
And that calendar will be available on the district website where everybody can see, we'll have it color coded by building, and parents, if they're looking specifically for Northwood Elementary, can sift it out and say, I just want to see what's at Northwood on this day. Okay, so it'll look like a big giant Google Calendar, a big mess, but they can say, I don't need to see all that, I just want to see the one building. So this will instantly eliminate the multiple requests to multiple buildings just for that 1 week.
Right. And then the nice part is too, the system also will put everything into a document if for some reason the board wants to see what is our building usage, maybe on a future capital project, and you want to see exactly how much our building is rented out or how much our building is in use. It will put everything into from if it's a group 1, if it's a group 2, if it's a group 3, group 4, who's using it, what rooms, what's our most popular days of the week. It does everything for us. And
in minutes.
Yeah, and Stephanie and I can say the requests coming in probably the last month or so have been, I mean, it's great. People want to come to West Seneca. They want to use our facilities. We just are looking for a better management system.
Is this a one-time purchase or is this a continual expense?
Mr. Thiel, do you remember the answer? Is it a
One-time purchase?
For the master library, it's a every year, it's a BOCES.
Annual through BOCES.
Through BOCES, annual.
I think it's about $3,000.
Yeah.
Question? Do school groups have priority over spaces?
That's a great, so we had come up with 4 user groups that we are suggesting. Group 1 would obviously be the in-house. We are requesting that all requests be in 6 weeks prior. This way it gives everybody enough time for management purposes, everything for that. Obviously, in-house groups, if they put their requests in first, they would have preference. If they wait till the last minute though, and another outside group has already requested that facility, we would then look for another spot for them to be. If it's a classroom, let's say a Spanish club decides, I want to have, 3 months from now, I want to have an after-school activity, but that classroom was already rented out by maybe the PTO or something, we would try to find them another facility to go to. But yes, in-house groups would be number 1 on there.
And it goes 6 weeks and no more than 1 year.
Yep.
So nobody can come in 18 months in advance and say that this is what they want to do. Because currently, right now, just in-house, we're already planning for next school year.
Right, so is there a mechanism to prevent, like an internal group, from just saying, well, I don't know what day I want, so I'll just take every Thursday and Friday
Yes.
of all of April and May?
So if
You know
they
what
were
I mean?
to do that, yes, if they were to do that now, technically speaking, they would be approved for that. But what we have put in, there's notes and comment sections that if a group was to use and abuse, whether it's destroying of property or not using that room, they've canceled too many times, we always have the right to go in and cancel
Yeah,
there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so if you look at all of, let's say, May, and I have it used 15 times, but really there's only 10 times the other 5 they didn't use
Right.
it, then that was an opportunity for 5 times it didn't get
Correct.
scheduled.
Stephanie and I would end up being, because I could see that totally happening, especially with like athletic fields and a turf. And, you know, if we have other groups that are wanting to use it, that's where Stephanie and I would come in as kind of the management system in this, talk to that user group and say, we're pulling it back. And the nice part with this system is each user group, they can be kind of canceled at any time with a note section of that. After each date, there's a spot that we can put a report on them as well for maybe destruction, not cleaning, or didn't show up on that.
So if they're not in the schedule, they're not
They're not
using a
supposed,
facility.
correct.
Correct.
Which is the nice part, because now anybody that is using our facilities at any time, we will be assured that they have insurance. And the system also blocks you out if your insurance expires.
Yeah, as soon as you create that account and you preload all that paperwork in, the system will keep track of it, and automatically, when you go to log in, say, you need to address these things first before you can move on.
And they won't be approved if they're not addressed.
This is quite a money saver because it saves.
Time saver.
It's a time saver.
It's
Yeah, time saver.
It's a huge time saver.
Huge time saver.
Money saver.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge for both.
I mean, the head custodians of all the buildings and in buildings and grounds, Joe knows this, they are really great at communicating with Marissa and I when we are booking all these groups and they're going, what happened last night? We're like, what do you mean what happened last night? Well, you guys set all this stuff up and then they didn't show up. Well, this is where this all started at the beginning of the year. We have to deal with rainouts, snow days, after-school activities being canceled, musicals getting moved, plays and all these things that we have to shift around, shift around. And then, then we have community education. We got Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and when people aren't showing up, that messes up our calendars and bumps things even further out. And it's hard to explain why we're bumping these things out when people don't show up. You can't say, well, so-and-so didn't show up. You can't say
Or
that.
just the last minute when when the custodians are there and they're calling going, we didn't know that so-and-so group was coming in, and you're like, oh, that's an inter-office mail, or so-and-so gave them approval. People are worried about liability, which they should be, because they're the ones that are there. Everybody knows now, it's on a calendar. It doesn't matter if somebody's on a medical leave or sick or whatever, it's all right there. They can log in every day and just double check to make sure. And the nice part is, again, like I said, as soon as a user group puts in the request, it automatically sends you an email. It'll send it to Dave, it'll send it to Joe's department, and...
Can I ask one more question?
Of course.
As far as like our coaches, let's say for facilities, do they get a window where they just have access to like put in for?
So that's a great question. So that part of this too is also to get our coaches to also start foreseeing things just a little bit further back.
Yes.
As you know, a lot of times they have clinics outside of the current season and things like that, and it's great. We want to get the kids doing a lot of things. But when we get a phone call saying, hey, so next weekend, can you find me a space? Well, that's a lot, and it's a big lift, when we get a last second phone call. So 6 weeks should be pretty reasonable to get the coaches to be able to foresee what their needs are and how we can accommodate them. Even if they came in under 6 weeks,
the in-season coaches will still have priority.
That's what I was wondering.
In-season coaches will still have the priority, especially with the two high schools. And I've used this system in the previous district, and so I plan to kind of mirror the athletics after that. But the high school gyms will remain pretty much closed till about 7:30, 8 o'clock every day, because that's what happens. What we'll try to do with the middle school and the elementaries is leave it open a little more flexible, because that's where Stephanie's continuing ed programs come in. And then for the turf, obviously, that's during the season, that's pretty complicated. What we'll try to do to look for the groups that want to rent it out would be the weekends, would also be during the summer. But again, our coaches right now, we're having talks with Stephanie, so we're in April. We probably started our summer conversations about a month ago. So any groups that contacted us about camps and stuff, I've given the heads up to the coaches and said, if you're planning to run a summer program, you need to contact Stephanie. Make sure we get our ducks in a row for that, because people are booking up the turf. And if they wait till May, that's kind of on them. They've been honestly given enough warning on that. So I do, though, if it's a camp or something coming in, I'll usually give the coaches a heads up and just say, are you going to run something this week? Or
And we got quite a few requests coming.
We have a lot.
June through almost December planned with clinics outside of their current seasons to have additional things for the kids.
Right.
I know it's a lot.
I just want to say thank you for all the work. I know you both worked very hard on this, and this is a huge monster. The problem is there were just requests all over the place. This way it really, and then, wow, we're about to have the event, we don't have a certificate of insurance or whatever. This really will help streamline that process, so.
It pushes people to get organized instead of making a phone call, and then everybody else has to get organized.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I see it as a solution.
Yeah.
It'll make our head custodians' lives a lot easier.
It'll make them
sure.
very
I
happy. It really will. And we did meet with Joe to get a lot of input from him as far as his people. And Stephanie and I said, because the user groups, we do have a bunch of user groups, whether they're in-house or out, just our out-of-district ones, we will put together a little show, a little like this, and help them through maybe a work session at night, inviting whoever wants to, just to kind of explain the new process, because it is different for a lot of people.
And definitely utilizing Elena to get the word out, you know, to our PTAs, PTOs, PTGs, inviting us in to show them what's going on, you know, sooner rather than later, so that they're ready for this coming school year, because I know that they're planning their things right now for next year, even though they don't know who's going to be in charge next year. So we definitely want to make sure, you know, even though they only have their new presidents for their PTOs and such, we want to make sure that they at least know how to utilize the system, what's coming down the pipeline. There's no questions. Okay? All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for all the hard work on this.
Thank you very much. Very excited to see how this system works. It's going to make people's lives a lot. I think I almost saw a smile on Joe over there for a second. Excellent. Do we want to do a 5-minute recess before we move on? Anyone good? Do 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yep, let's do 5 minutes real quick. We'll make it a quick 5 minutes, use the restroom, grab a drink of water, and we will be back in probably,
Hopefully 5 minutes.
hopefully 5 minutes. Diane's going to yell at me for every 30 seconds over. Okay, we're back from our 5-minute recess. Thank you on that. We will move on to, we're going to do this one separate. 6A, we have to have a separate non-roll call vote on it because we're creating a certified position. May I have a motion on 6A?
I'll move.
Pete, move to accept 6A. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Jody? Any discussion on 6A? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion moves 7-0. Okay. 6B. So if I'm not mistaken, we can do, if I may have a motion on 6B through 6D.
I'll make a motion.
Liz? Motion to approve 6B through 6D. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Molly? Any discussion on any of these items?
6D?
I'm sorry, sir?
I'm not just choosing this, but any appointment on the agenda has had a background search and has been fingerprinted?
I believe, yes, we can, are we going to, you want to talk about that now, or?
Sure, yes. So I would say in 99.9% of the cases, there's the fingerprint process has taken place in the event, and I can't think of an instance where it wouldn't be, but I always like to leave that 0.1% out there. The person would legally not be able to start, they wouldn't be able to start working for us until it was done, so it would be a condition of their employment.
Are you saying both certified and classified?
Yeah, anybody, if you're working, yeah, you're in the building, yeah.
Excellent. Cool. Discussion, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
Abstain? Okay, we'll do move 6-0 with one abstain. Abstention? One abstention. 7, we'll move on to 7, personnel classified. Do a separate vote, create a classified position for 7A. May I have a motion on 7A, please?
No move.
Can I question, where do I put that in, a question about it?
Well, under discussion. Yeah,
Okay.
so what we do is we basically agree to
move
put
it.
it up,
Yeah.
and then we discuss it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
I already moved.
Okay, Pete, you've moved to approve number 7A. May I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Diane, and now we have some discussion on 7A.
So is this like an internship for a student, or?
Dr. Cervoni, was this the internship for 7A?
I believe so, yes. I believe it's through the academy. It's part of the academy office. One of the interns is actually working the
The finance.
That's awesome. Okay, yeah, just, is that new? Is this a new position or?
No.
Okay,
Probably a new student for this one, but.
gotcha. Okay.
It's got to be a new position. We're creating it as a position. It says create classified position.
Well, generally, they do their internship outside of the school district, but they're doing it now within the school district.
So that's the creation of
And
the new
that's the
position.
creation of
I
it.
like
I know the
that.
Finance
It's a nice idea.
Academy
It's a nice idea.
has
Yeah.
done this. They work in the business
I believe we've done
office.
this before, but it's not standing, so if students try to have opportunities outside, but sometimes they do be creative with new opportunities or they need the academy office. You may see this again next year, either in the fall or winter or spring, depending.
Okay, thanks.
And there's no
Okay.
cost to it.
So basically, the position lives and
Curious
dies
about
with the person doing this internship, John.
Correct, as you can see, it's just due the end of this school year.
Okay, great. So they go away and then we got to create a new one next year. Okay, excellent. Anyone, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, we'll move 7-0, sorry. Looks like I can, if I'm making it a motion for 7B and 7C.
I'll make a motion.
Diane. And if I may have a second, please.
I'll second.
Pete.
I wish our retirees well.
Have some discussion on this? Yes, I know that's always very happy for the retirees, but also sad. Let's take a look, I said 7B through 7C. Okay, got it. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Move 7-0. And if I can have a motion on 7D, please.
I'll make a motion.
Diane, make a motion to approve 7D. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Jan? We'll award the winner to Jan on that one. Jan, second. Any discussion on 7D?
I'd like to discuss, I'd like to just make a statement that I'll be abstaining from 7D. We'll discuss more
And
discussion.
there's more discussion? Okay, great. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, and one abstain?
Yes.
One abstention. 6-0. So it looks like classified permanent appointments, 7E. Looks like we could move on 7E. If I have a motion to move on 7E, please, or a motion for 7E?
I'll move.
Peter. Thank you, Peter. Motion to approve 7E. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Molly. Thank you, Molly. Any discussion on 7E? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Move 7-0. We got 8 personnel, miscellaneous reappointments. See, we got some coaching. I love seeing these boxes filled in as the seasons. I know a couple times we've seen some blanks, so I'm happy to see the coaches coming on board. Community education appointments. Those always excite me. Preferred building substitutes, activity advisor appointments. So, I mean, if I'm not wrong here, if I can have a motion to move on all of 8? That work for everybody?
I'll make a motion.
Diane, may I have a motion, a second to move on all of 8?
I'll second.
Liz, thank you. Any discussion on anything in 8?
I'm going to abstain again, and we'll discuss in board.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? And one abstention. 6-0. Nicole, if I'm using that word improperly, let me know. Thank you. 9 reports. Let's see. I'm going through here. We could make a motion to approve all of 9.
Do we have to approve reports?
I believe we do, because they're kind of part of record, right?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Was that question followed by you'd like to make the motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Excellent. Diane, make the motion to approve all of 9. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Jan. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Move 7-0. Move on to new business. What did I do here? Policies. Is all of 10 policies?
No.
No, okay.
Just 8.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to make a motion to move I can move on all of them, but just read it the way I wrote it, right?
Right.
Okay. I'll make a motion. I would like to make a motion to move all on 10, and I would like to waive the second reading for the new policies. And I can explain that in discussion if anyone wants.
I'd like 10F separate, please.
Okay, you'd like 10F separate? Okay. You know, why don't I do this? 10F, where's 10F? F. How about through 10?
15, yeah.
Okay. May I have a motion to move on 10A through 10E and waive the second reading?
Second reading on the policy.
On the new policies.
Okay, that's fine.
Liz?
I'll make a move.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Second? Diane? Okay, any discussion? So I'm asking to waive the second reading, and Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong on this. There's a board policy that says if we're implementing a new policy, we have to read it at 2 separate meetings. Because these policies are not really anything we're looking to debate or there's no issues with them, we can elect to waive the second reading just to implement it. I believe one of the policies is what was presented a little while ago.
That's a revised one.
That's a revised one. So the new one is just the first one?
Correct.
Okay. And actually, under board discussion, I wanted to bring up eliminating that step or making sure we follow that step as a board later discussion, and I can explain more. But basically, what I'm asking is that we don't have to wait till the next meeting, read the policy again and approve it. All in favor of that?
Wait a minute.
Oh, go ahead.
Are all of these, you said just one is new,
Or that's the revisions.
and the other are revisions? Any major revisions on some of them?
One revision.
What's the revision?
They're in the attachments on the agenda.
Yeah, we received these ahead of time.
Yeah, these are all the ones that the policy
Board
committee
docs on the
has.
computer.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have one I just am questionable about, but I'll.
Oh, sure.
If it's with it all, it's all right.
Okay. Do you want to take a second to look for it, or do you want to go?
No, it's all right.
Okay. Well, I think we've got all the notes on that too. If you need, we can
Yep.
look afterward. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Move 7-0. And it was, may I have a motion to move on 10F?
I'll make a motion.
Liz? May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Molly? Okay, any discussion?
I'll be abstaining as a healthcare worker.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Move 6-0 with 1 abstention.
This was a good one.
Thank you. And we got some, let's see, G, combining of sports teams. I believe we do this all year. This is our basic. We do have a really cool thing I noticed on here is flag football.
Yep.
Very excited about that. Let me, sorry, here's that girls flag football. Thank you, Marissa, if you're still here, for getting that going. I believe part of the, I know technically we're combining East and West flag football teams, but we did not have East and West teams previous to that. This is our inaugural year.
This is the inaugural year for Section 6, Section 5, all with NISBA for girls flag football. So in an effort to not, there was only so many spots, and I didn't want to hog spots from other school districts. So for the first year and the second year, we are combining girls East and West. So right now we have 19 girls from East and West that are participating, and the first kickoff event is this Saturday at the Village Fieldhouse.
Excellent,
Very
excellent.
exciting. And Coach Marino, our varsity football coach for East, is the girls' flag football coach, so he's been loving life right now.
Nice.
So,
Nice. Very excited about that. Thank you. May I have a motion to move on, what did I say, 10G through,
These are the BOCES things, correct?
Oh, we have to,
Yeah, don't we,
Why don't you do that?
yeah, I'm going to go
Separate.
10, I'm basically going to do G then, right?
Yeah.
10G?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you, Molly.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jody. Any discussion? I guess I should have waited for discussion to say thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. Any other discussion? Okay. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Move 7-0. Now we will do our Boces vote.
Okay, I'll move on the BOCES,
You're going to move on just H or H?
H, I, J, and K.
Okay, got Jan, move on H, I, J,
I'll
and
second.
K. Pete seconds. Any discussion?
These are very good people.
I don't know.
Very
Mary didn't come and campaign with us at all. She didn't,
You weren't here.
no, I
That's the
wasn't
one you
here.
missed.
No, I was on recess.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pete.
And Andy's a great guy, he's been on a long time. And
Great.
Eric.
I'm very excited, and for anyone, I think anyone in the room that doesn't know what this is we're voting to elect officers of the BOCES board.
Yeah.
And we're voting on approving the BOCES budget.
Correct.
Because BOCES works with all the districts, and
Correct.
so they take our vote. Okay. And these are the three that we are voting for as a board.
I think they have about 28 school districts that they, work with. And because it's all of Erie County and Buffalo.
Okay.
Including
Yeah.
Buffalo.
And how many people serve on the BOCES board, do you know? Is it 9 or 7?
No, it's probably 7.
7?
I don't think, it's not 9, I don't
Okay.
think.
Very, very excited to see these people volunteering. I know it's a lot of work. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Move 7-0. And we do not need to move on to financial reports, correct? So we can go on to public comments. Do I have anyone here besides Jen who is going to speak today? You're good? Yeah. Okay, so I will, no one else interested in public comments this evening? Okay, great. Thank you so much. We'll move on to Board of Education discussion. There's a few things on here, plus a couple I want to add. We can begin with PLC Associates Presentation on May 3rd. Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. So a few board meetings ago, actually Will kind of led the discussion about possibly contracting with PLC Associates to help us with some strategic planning, which would also include helping to take a look at our the boundaries of our different schools and things like that. So basically redistricting. So from that point, there seemed to be some enthusiasm, so we began to explore the relationship a little further. I had some conversation. They actually showed me some sample documents they had done from another district, which I was impressed by. Thought the conversation was great. And just very specific goals, talking about, looking at metrics, trying the process, to be quite honest with you, to me, by which they reach some of these goals and set some of these goals, I thought, or help the districts to do that, I thought was very impressive. Very much facilitators, just coming in basically to help groups, kind of work together to be able to come up with, common vision and goals for the district, but also to be able to take a look at the redistricting process. So I had some conversation with them myself. I invited Ed and Diane just before the break to have some conversation. I believe they were also impressed with some of the discussion and dialogue. So what I would like to do is to bring them in. We haven't signed any contracts yet, but to bring them in on the May 3rd board meeting, again, in advance of any signing of contracts, to do a brief presentation to the board, and then the board would be able to ask any questions that they have. And if the board was comfortable moving forward, then potentially on the May 24th, I think it's a work session that we could potentially vote if people were comfortable on that to be able to move forward with them. So give you some time to talk to them, digest a little bit, and then make some decisions about moving forward. So
So the reason, I put it on for today is, one, do we want to invite them to present to us to see what they do? And two, do we want to even consider moving forward with an outside group like this? Personally, I like it. They're not making decisions for us. I think they're going to help facilitate the decisions that we as a community want, being part of lots of groups where we've had in-district people running it, nothing bad about it, but sometimes you've got different, different things that, like when 21st Century Committee, it was all, we were running it and we were trying to make the decisions. Being a facilitator and involved in the process was difficult. So I kind of like the idea of having someone removed as the facilitator, keep you on track. You guys all know from meetings with me, I can't stay on track to save my life. So I can picture a room full of people talking about, redistricting or looking at building usage, that sort of thing. Pete, I know you've got a group.
That's doing the exact same thing.
Yes. So if you, well, that's what I said, I'd like to see this presentation from these people, because I don't know how much facilitating you do versus how much work.
The group is basically running and moving forward.
Excellent.
I'm just there to.
You are the facilitator.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not steering, I'm not doing anything.
Right, and that's what I like. I like this concept. I'd like to have them present. It was a quick meeting we had on where the lady presented what they did. for this sort of thing. But, again, that's the board's decision we're not voting on anything to agree to it, not agree to it. We're just going to have them come in and present. And we can talk about now, we can talk about after they present, however you guys want to handle it.
I'll listen to anybody.
Yeah, no harm, no foul, and having them present.
Just, a few minutes of our time and, yeah, I like it.
And is this aidable?
Yes.
I thought I read that somewhere. Okay.
They work with some other local districts.
I know.
All right, Pete.
What?
You're our new facilitator.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put your application in with these people.
Sure.
Yeah, and I mean, and for the record, I did talk to Pete before I even put this on the agenda. I wasn't just cutting you out of it. Anything else on that? Okay. This is what I wanted to talk about, policy 1410, where we do a second reading. So since I've been on this board, we've done a few policies, new policies, and every time we ask to waive the second reading. So I don't know why we have it if every time we waive it. So I either want to consider, let's just remove the part of our policy where we have a second reading required, or let's make it where we can't waive the second reading.
I think it's a law. I think you have to waive it. I think you have to offer a reading. of the
Yeah, because if
policy
somebody
publicly.
does want to address it,
It's
that's
a-
the time to
it's-
address it.
Yeah.
Is it
I
a
would
law or is it a
assume.
board policy?
No, I think it's the education law, personally.
Can I get,
Check your law books.
yeah, we can look it up. Would you guys mind if I look? Or would the policy committee? Say that again?
Some districts do even 4.
Yes, so some districts require 4 readings, and again, I don't mind requiring the readings, but I would like to make it where we do the readings then. Why are we allowed to just skip over it? Like, I get the concept is you don't want to slip in a policy, one quick meeting, where, we want to eliminate potatoes in the district and
Yeah.
sneak it in there.
Just check the education law book for New
I
York
don't-
State,
yeah.
Nicole, because
I don't
think it's
personally have a
explained there.
problem with that, though. If
Yeah.
you're voting to like
It gives
forego
us-
the second reading,
Well,
I think it's.
It gives us.
He wants to get rid of.
So every
the vote
time
to
that
forego it.
every time I've had it,
No.
we've foregone the second reading.
Well, you gotta think about future boards.
So my point is,
I agree.
either
Yeah.
let's either make it mandatory, the second reading, or let's just get rid of it altogether. Why go through this fake step?
Well,
Well, I
because
think it
if
has
somebody,
to be listed. I think it has to be listed that you're going to read it, or, that it's possible. to
agree.
read it.
Understood.
It's the education law.
Right.
Also, I think, when we ask at the beginning of the meeting, when we open it up to the public, and they can comment on the agenda,
Yep.
that would be, it would have to be in there for that. Am I correct?
I'm not sure. Like I said, and I don't mind keeping the second reading, but I don't want to just be able to willy-nilly skip it then. Like, because we skipped the second reading tonight.
right.
Well, there's a lot of policies.
Right, right.
Yeah, so,
But, and it would only be, no, and it would
Yeah.
only be the second reading on the policy that's new. It's only on a new policy, I believe. So we can't approve a new policy unless we've done a second reading, or we've voted to skip the second reading. So I'm just kind of saying,
Yeah, but you're voting to skip it, it's done. To me, it's no harm, no
Okay.
foul, but at least it's there, and if somebody
In
has
case anybody
question
has
about
questions.
it, they can have it read. and-
yeah.
okay.
I
I'm
think-
fine, again, it's not like it's creating more work for me, or, I just,
not.
every 6 years on the board, and I've skipped every second reading. So I thought, okay, let's either make the second reading mandatory, or let's not have it all together. So I'm fine, just, again, I definitely don't have this isn't a hill I'm gonna die on.
Yeah.
I just, I get why it's there, but I also don't think we should just be able to easily skip it sometimes. Like, if this was a major policy, we wouldn't, I think what it does is it gives time for the community to be aware of it. Like, you know what I mean? And so that was part of my thing, is saying, let's make the second reading mandatory. Or skip it, you know what I mean? So right now, we have the ability just to skip it with the stroke of a real quick.
Well, we're
thing.
we're assuming that the board members have read all of the policies.
Yes.
Because they've been presented to us ahead of time.
Yes.
And they're also available to the public as well.
Okay,
So, but I think the second reading offers people who may have a concern over that course of time that it's been available to the public to come and speak to us
sure.
about it.
Yeah, and that's what I said, that's where I support the second reading, is if it's something major. So again, we could just leave it alone, or the policy
Well,
committee.
just leave it alone, because then
Leave
if
it.
someone is sitting out there and wants it, they'll say, and then
Right.
we can read it. You can read it.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking to physically skip the reading. So if we didn't vote to skip the reading tonight, the second reading, we couldn't approve that policy until the next board meeting. That's my point, which I'm okay with. When I say reading of the thing, I don't mean actually physically reading it. Am I correct on this? So what I did tonight, the whole second reading is meant so you don't just pass it in one board meeting. But we're able to just easily skip that concept. So if there was a board looking to institute a policy that maybe should be taken longer, they don't have to wait that long to do it. They can just do it in one night because of the way you can vote to skip the second reading. So that's all. I just wanted to bring it to our attention that I've skipped every second reading that we've ever done. So I thought maybe we can either make it mandatory or just eliminate it. That's all. Just wanted to bring it up so we can leave it alone. I probably talked too much on it as it was. See, a facilitator. The next thing I wanted to mention was cell phone use during board meetings. I am aware that I use my cell phone during board meetings. I'm very careful. I'm not looking to offend the speaker, but sometimes there's dates that come up where I believe one of the presenters was talking about a date, so I threw it in my calendar real quick. I looked up the information that I had with on the people who are running in their ballot positions. I have that in my email, which is way easier to use for me than my computer. As Scott will tell you, I have a real hard time using their laptop, other than I have it set up at home and plugged in, and I don't carry it with me, so I know it doesn't leave my house. So I'm just bringing up, if we're using our cell phones for board stuff, great. If any of us are obviously taking calls or, checking email, we could easily step out of the room. That is the one reason I kind of threw in the 5-minute recess too, because my kids will sometimes, hey, Dad, I'm home safe, or, hey, my wife will text me, hey, did you remember to...
teenagers.
Yeah, but also I do want to recognize the fact that people are presenting, and I'm kind of maybe saying this publicly, so people see that when they're presenting, if I grab my phone real quick, it's not because I'm ignoring you. So I didn't know if anyone else had anything to say about that. I just wanted to address it.
I just don't think I think it's disrespectful to a speaker if somebody is physically doing something on their phone while the speaker is speaking.
Right.
I
Yes.
just think we shouldn't be doing that.
And
It doesn't
I'm-
look good for us. It looks like we're not paying attention to the speaker.
And I understand that. I'm respectful of that, and that's kind of why I'm bringing it up, just to say, I may grab my calendar while they're speaking, or I was actually, when John and Will were talking about numbers, I was using my calculator. I know it's two completely different concepts, so I figured if we don't talk about it, then maybe someone did get offended, and I don't want to offend anybody, well, intentionally offend anybody. But is that cool? So we'll, again, maybe once in a while, I'll just mention that, like, hey, John, I'm using my phone or something, but clearly I don't have a computer in front of me. Is that, anyone else, anything to say on that?
No, it's fine.
Good?
Yeah, it's a good.
Okay.
I write everything down, so.
Yeah. I put
I don't like
everything
to
in my
step
phone.
out.
in my
Like,
phone-
I always hesitate to step out when
Yeah.
somebody's
Yeah.
presenting, like if
Yeah.
I get a text from my child.
Yeah, I understand, and,
So that would be the only reason I look down, but
Yeah.
it's fine.
yeah, and then basically, we're not, like, my wife and I aren't discussing what we're gonna have for dinner,
It's usually teenager stuff.
Yeah,
where, like,
yeah.
Exactly, like I'm home.
Yeah. So, but I totally
My
respect where
phone's dead,
Diane's coming
I'm not in
from.
a ditch
It's
somewhere.
one thing to check your phone. It's one thing when
To
somebody's
open it.
speaking
Yeah.
to
And to be like-
actively doing something on
Yeah.
your phone.
Right.
So like when
sometimes I'm
Carmen's
responding.
presenting, I shouldn't be
Right,
checking my
okay.
Facebook and, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, you guys are typically the ones up there presenting, you kind of see the difference, hopefully, but, when you're talking, So again, I just wanted to bring it up publicly, so no one's upset. There was something else I wanted to talk about, it was on your, yes, so it was on one of Matt's emails to us that we're going to talk about tonight. I apologize, I didn't put it on the agenda, but I want to discuss the concession stand and give this board an update. And I don't know that we've actually talked about it as a board yet. I was asked Matt just to fill us in on the timeline from the beginning to now, and then we can go from there.
Sure. So originally when the whole capital improvement project was put together, the concession stand was originally supposed to be this year. We looked early on in the project and said, you know what, this is not an aidable portion of the project. We do have the money, so they moved it to last year. Last year, the summer, basically, things got tight financially. We were worried that things were going to get tight financially, so it was put on pause. to be put back to this year, which was the original timeline for the concession stand over West Senior. I just recently received some information that we are about $200,000 over budget. We had about $800,000 budgeted for the concession stand due to no fault of anybody, but things just got more expensive because frankly of supply chain issues and whatnot. And we're a little over $200,000 over budget. So we did ask the folks over at Young and Wright to go back to the contractors and just see if they could try to maybe pare the project back a little bit. They were able to shave probably about a little over $40,000 off the project. Still puts us somewhere about $160,000 over budget. So had some conversation with our folks. My recommendation at this point, and this is why I wanted to be able to talk about it, have the board sound off and have some conversation, would be to delay for another year. Still put something in place in terms of nice facilities for the bathrooms. You can rent some facilities for bathrooms because I think that was a big priority. And one of the original impetuses behind even having a concession stand to see if prices would be any better off next year at this time. So.
We do have Mr. Farr here.
And Mr. Thiel as well.
With the information of Mr. Thiel. So that's where we're at.
Can I ask a random, and this sounds terrible, I've never been to I've been to West football games, I've been on the West football field, but I don't know, what is currently at West concession stand wise? There's nothing, right? It's just
We have porta
They're
potties.
yeah, they're using a bus right now.
Okay, and then at East, we have the little window,
Correct.
indoor bathroom,
You have at East you have the concession stand that was there previous to the new
to
stadium.
the new stadium,
Yeah,
right?
which is-
With the old, or the original indoor bathrooms.
Yeah.
They don't, I'm sorry, can I answer that?
Yeah, please.
We don't use the indoor bathrooms anymore at East due to safety and just some other security issues. So everything we use is porta potties right now. Sorry.
Okay.
I did not know that. Good to know.
Yeah, I wasn't sure I was ever in a bathroom.
I'm gonna give my 2 cents. I don't know. Sometimes cutting back a little bit to save money, I think could hurt the viability long term. If it's say cutting back on a cheaper roofing material, cheaper siding, or I don't know. That's why I wanted Joe. Maybe he could speak to if he knew some of the things they were looking at, or if we need to talk about that later. Like I don't know the money saving things that have been presented, if it's a detriment to the project, if it's,
It would be, in my opinion, the little bit of money isn't worth doing, but we have to look at the whole picture. Everything going up the way it is with our construction, a 2x4 went from $3 to $9, okay? It's not your typical inflation where loaf of bread went up 50 cents, okay? We're tripling. We need to look at our whole picture and see what's best for the students, at the end of the day. And, the board has to be aware of what's still to come in the next phases and, what direction we should head with this.
Can I ask a couple of
Absolutely,
questions?
yeah,
And I
that's
don't
why we're
really
doing
even know who I should direct them
I would
to,
just say
but.
them out loud, whoever.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry if my back's to you. So we said we initially budgeted $800,000 for it. Do we still have that $800,000 budgeted for it?
Yes.
Okay, that's good news. So when did the bids originally go out and when did we get them back?
Joe, can you speak to that?
Somewhere around, in March they went out.
Okay.
We received them a couple weeks later. By the time we went through it, got together with contractors, looking for any way we can do something different.
Okay.
We're weeks on that.
Okay.
But the original bids were a couple years ago, right, or?
no, I think it just went out for bid for the
No?
first.
Oh, it just went out for
This
bid.
is a separate, the whole project was approved a couple of years ago. Now each phase, or element is separately.
Okay, so they originally went out in March?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I guess when we had the architects in, how come it wasn't mentioned at that point?
They didn't know.
They didn't know because the
Yeah.
bids weren't in at that
Yeah,
time.
you found out, we first heard there was going to be a problem, and then they said, let us try to see if we can pare it down a little bit to the point that it would make sense and get us in, a ballpark of what we originally budgeted. After they came back and found out that we couldn't, that's when I reached out to the board, and I sent you the email back a couple of
Okay.
weeks ago, so.
I'll put in my 2 cents too, if you don't mind. I feel like our facilities, we finally have these beautiful facilities. And, I'm just speaking from personal experience, I mean, I'm at the ball field all the time. And, we have these beautiful ramps now. We can, get my father-in-law up the ramps, but there's literally no place for him to go to the bathroom. And it's just, to me, as a board member and as a parent, where we put all this money into these beautiful facilities, and there's porta potties. And there's a cost to the porta potties too, or renting fancier porta potties. So it's just, in my opinion, this is something that directly affects our kids. And, we're talking about facilities usage, and, hopefully we're using these facilities all the time. It's what we meant them to be for. So, I'm really a proponent of finishing this project. I think about obviously just being able to go to the bathroom is really important for athletes as well. And storage, I mean, it's not like a glorified concession stand, even though concessions I think are really important to our parent groups, who try and fundraise for our kids. And, I felt so bad. I was at a coaches meeting and, for lacrosse, and, lacrosse equipment is really expensive, and you have all these new kids coming to the sport, but like to purchase gloves is like $180. So, if we had concessions, we'd be able to, kind of offset that cost for those kids and families. So I just see this as a project. It's a beautiful project. We're all proud of it. I'd like to see it finished to the end. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I'd like to
I
add
think-
a couple more cents too, if you don't mind, Jan.
I think the sports boosters feel that way too.
I
And
do too.
And I concur.
And band boosters as well.
Yeah, and the band, right. And, I'm speaking from a parent's perspective now too. Like, we're having our league lacrosse championships, playoffs at our facilities. That's a lot of kids and families coming through our campus. So,
True, I believe there's 2 track and field competitions coming in.
Yes, we have a big track invite coming up in 2 weeks, which we have, we actually maxed out, we're turning away schools, and then West is hosting boys lacrosse sectionals, which is huge, and we're also hosting the track sectionals, which were huge. So we did rent, just so people know here, we did rent we rented the trailers for those 3 events, so we'll be like downtown Buffalo, and we're trying to make the best. We'll do whatever you want us to do.
Quarter slots?
But we did rent the nice trailers. Obviously, there's only so many spots that we can put the trailers in, but we do have the trailers coming in for that. And then I'm working with Jay Brinker. I recommended them for graduation as well, but they're about. It's like $900 each day for the trailer. I think we've worked out a little bit of a deal because the lacrosse sectionals goes into track sectionals. So, but then you have to add in the cost of, and there's a lot.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
I have a legislative meeting tomorrow night, and I know that one of the issues that we're dealing with and talking about is the message isn't as dire from Albany
Yes.
as we had first thought.
Right.
So with maybe some of that increased funding, this is something we should seriously consider.
Yeah, we talk about all the time what we value, and I think finishing this project for our kids in this community, and like the boosters who work their tails off, for our district, I value the finishing of this project.
And maybe we won't have to buy electric buses too soon.
Can I just say a couple things?
Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah, no problem.
I thought you said put your 2 cents in.
Yeah, I wanted a Jan. I have concerns that the prices, you're concerned about the costs. I can't estimate what next year will be, but how do you know those costs won't go up? You know, or keep continuing to go up. So that would be my concern, to hold off on something like this. And I just think I agree with Molly. All the boosters support this. I would like to see it completed, and I would hope that we could find space or find somewhere in our budget, you know, to make this a priority. I personally, those are my 2 cents and what I would like to see.
I have a sense that I should turn to our money man.
Yeah, he's raising his hand.
Wait.
Give it to me, Will. Tell us like it is.
Bid phase 2, we went as far as we could in phase 2, right up to the limit of the budget. Any efficiencies were generated in the phase 1 bids were absorbed in phase 2. Phase 3 is yet to come. It's a major renovation at the high schools. I believe science rooms are the core of it. We're talking another $20 million in bids. So it's not like we're trying to prioritize what gets the best value for our students. If you're saying you want to go through with $1 million concession stand, and we risk having to scale back on science rooms, I mean, it's really what we're faced with here. We're not saying we're not going to finish the project. We're just saying that can we wait until we know more about how things are going to develop. We have 2 major phases to go here. We have an elementary phase after the high school phase. The elementaries have received some roof improvements, and really that's about it to this point. We haven't got to these buildings. So we're putting at risk, in this environment, the next 2 phases by just not being, in my mind, not being patient. Let's just wait it out.
But Will, isn't this the 3rd time that this has been pushed back? Even though it's part of this phase? Isn't this the third year, second year then?
Yeah,
That
this would be the second. So it was originally it's supposed to be this summer, and then they moved it up, and then they moved it back again, essentially is what happened. So it has moved around a little bit, Molly, you're right.
Mm-hmm. So I think you're sensing that frustration. And I don't know, I just think of $160,000. That's what we're looking to make up if we already have this $800,000 budgeted. We're talking $160,000 to finish a project.
But I think what's being stated,
What I'm trying to say is I can't guarantee where bids will come in for science rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I can't guarantee where bids will come in for roofs. We can't guarantee where bids will come in from a very large phase 3, and then a phase 4 from elementary that hasn't even begun being designed yet. So we may be eating up money from those 2 phases to build a concession stand. That's what I'm saying. If that's the board's wishes, then we'll put these bids on the agenda and the board can approve them. But, you know, we run the risk of a year from now sitting here over phase 3 saying, you know, we've got a problem. We're going to eat into the phase 4 elementary or we're going to have to cut back on our budget for phase 3.
When the $800,000 is budgeted for a project, does that stay in our budget for next year? Budgeted for that?
75, this is not our general fund budget. $75.5 million of capital project work was approved by the voters of West Side. Okay? All of that, within that, an estimated $800,000 was allocated towards the concessions.
And that brings about the second debate. I don't know that I'm willing to cut $40,000 off of the cost, just save $40,000 if it's going to make the building not as, if we're going with cheaper roofing or cheaper siding. And I don't know that. I don't know what we're looking at cutting.
Yeah.
But I don't know, you know, the way I look at it is if you've got a car and you buy the cheaper oil, is the engine going to go quicker? If the roof's only going to last 20 years instead of 40, I mean, I want these buildings to last 75 years. Joe, again, I don't know if you could speak to what or if we need to get that sent out to us or have a meeting or how that works.
Yeah, we're not looking to cheap out. What we're looking to say is we need to put the whole thing together and take another look at it. When we plan this stuff, this is no one's fault. It's what happened in the world that no one knew was going to happen. Anytime a project's planned, there's always like if you're putting an addition on your house, contractor told you 30,000, you better have a little more than that, because once they start building, and we plan for that, okay? There's no way we could plan for what's going on in the world today. Like I say, $2 world, $3, now it's $9. You can't plan for that. So we're in a time that we've never been in. I'm saying we should relook at it, because if you move forward with this, odds are it's going to take something out of the future, okay? And we need to decide where that priority is. It'd be great to have a concession stand, don't get me wrong,
But I guess,
do you short a science class and do you short the elementaries, where,
yeah, and I think that's so hard for a board to make that decision when we don't know what we're going to be shortchanging.
Right,
You know
well,
what I mean?
and that's what I'm saying, I don't think you want to make a decision tonight to say, go ahead on this. I think more information needs to be shared and know what the future could bring.
I guess I have questions about, we already have these facilities at East, but we don't use them due to safety concerns. So what's going to be different about a West facility versus an East facility that you would actually open a bathroom that flushes versus a bathroom that you look at in the hole?
Yeah.
I may have explained that part a little bit wrong. The reason we're not using the bathrooms inside of the school, so if the concessions would be a separate bathrooms, we would use those. The reason we're not using the bathrooms inside of the school is because of, then we have kids wandering the halls, supervision, that kind of stuff. If we use the locker rooms, we have a volleyball event going on the same time as a football event. We have kids walking in and out. So that's the reason we're not using those bathrooms. Sorry if I explained it wrong.
Okay.
Sorry.
So basically the same reasons you're not using the bathrooms at West right now. Same concept.
Yeah, it's a further walk.
Well, yeah,
Porta potties, but yes, it comes down to, we have a ton of supervision, our SROs do a great job, and we need all hands on deck on the actual field to let kids in school. Then I'd have to put a person by the bathrooms to check for vaping, doing that kind of stuff. Person making sure the kids aren't wandering the halls, doing that kind of stuff. And then we have people that are trying to do their job cleaning those other areas. So that's why we don't open up the facilities for bathrooms.
But the ones at West would be standalone,
Yes.
which still leaves East at a, East gets nothing.
Eventually, you
Oh,
have to
right.
have one at East.
Oh, yeah, I fully,
So do we want to spend, $800,000 times 2?
well, I
on
personally
bathrooms?
fully expect one to be built at East someday. It was not part of this project though.
Right.
So that's why they still have their building, I believe. I don't know, I wasn't here for that part of it, but it wasn't part of this building. This was included in it at West, which is why their building was taken down at West, the building that was the concession stand. I don't believe it was bathrooms though, right?
What's that? No, so the bathrooms,
West, it was just a concession building with storage?
no, the bathrooms was one of the primary impetus behind actually creating something.
The existing.
Yeah.
the
Oh,
existing
yes,
building.
I'm sorry, you're correct,
Had no
yes.
bathrooms.
No bathrooms,
Right,
correct.
So I guess, are we looking to make a decision either way tonight, or are we just discussing it to figure out how? Yeah, no, I'm asking, no one's here looking for us to vote on anything tonight.
No, you're
We don't have all
correct.
the information, we need so much.
Well,
more
yeah, there's a few more things, like we're looking at building a shell, roof, walls, toilets, but there's no amenities inside at this point.
No, it's fully functional.
Fully functional, but not concession-wise, fully functional as a building with bathrooms, right? We're not talking about stoves and fridges and,
But we were never talking.
I know that, well, I'm just, again, we haven't been, yeah, I sat through one presentation on it, and so we're basically building, other than bathrooms,
And a counter for,
yeah, a shell. So there's no saying, we'll buy the refrigerators later, we'll buy the stoves later, because that wasn't part of this to begin with, correct?
Was not part of it.
Right, okay, so it's basically the building itself, and that was it. Yeah, so what do we do?
I mean, I can build a whole house for a lot less money than that.
It's crazy. I don't know, it must be regulations that we have to follow and code that makes that cost so expensive?
Absolutely is.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't just do it overnight.
So I guess my question is, we're talking about this now, but when do we ultimately understand the full picture so that we can make a decision. Because my worry is, like Liz said, there's no guarantee that costs aren't going to go up next year. And then it's just like, I feel like we just keep pushing something that really is important to a
Yep.
large group of people in this community.
But I don't think you realize until you're done with phase 4 whether you can afford it. That's reality. That's reality. I mean, the truth is, most districts don't build 2 football fields before they do their schools. And this is what happens, because phase 1 gets everything, and then you have this problem, and now you have to start making decisions. But you won't know until the end of phase 4 whether you have the money to do this, or in the middle of phase 4 at least.
Right, and
That's the
in
truth.
this case, Peter, that's true, okay, but the planning wasn't, okay? There was money left in phase 1, it was planned for, there
No,
was that loss factor in there so that when you...
I understand that, but this is another
And right now,
unprecedented situation where,
If things keep going the way they've gone in the last 2 years, we're in trouble.
right, you're going to have cost overruns phase 3 and phase 4. And the truth is, your $9 2x4 is going to slowly come down. It'll never get to 3 again.
Correct.
So no matter what, you're going to have a $5 2x4 if you're lucky, phase 4.
Well, if we had $5 2x4s, we have enough in there that we'd be able to do this, okay?
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do, but I'm just saying, the 9 right now is what's killing us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I'm not willing to give up a science lab for a potty.
Well, I guess, so play devil's advocate here, what are the chances we're $160,000 short next year? And that's it.
I don't think.
Let's wait till we get a little more information and let's move along.
The question is 900.
Oh, okay, I get it. You're looking at using them, okay.
Right.
I understand. So that money's not going to stay set aside for the concession stand then?
And that $40,000 they knocked off could be back tomorrow with the way inflation is and prices.
But that's what I was asking that specific question for. If we have that $800,000 budgeted for it this year,
It was not part of the general fund budget. It's part of a $75.5 million vote. It's in pencil. Phase 1 is 20 million. Phase 2 is 20 million. Phase 3 is 20 million. Phase 4 is 15 million. And there's $800,000 put away for a concession stand. The bids are the reality. All that is done years ago. We are now in reality. We're getting initial cost estimates and a page turner on phase 3 tomorrow, which is going to really stretch the budget on phase 3, if not exceed it, and force us to pull back on scope on phase 3.
so when do
So
we...
we're in a situation where we don't have, I can't tell you that the $1 million you'll spend in the concession stands won't come out of an elementary building in phase 4. Okay, it might prohibit us from doing a roof someday. That's what I'm saying. It's not the 160, it's the 960.
And what we have to do, we have to relook at the whole thing, okay?
Yeah.
If the biggest concern is some kind of nice bathroom facility, I'm just saying this, don't quote me on this, buying 2 trailers, okay?
Right.
Yeah.
That give me a whole lot less, but again, we need to think a little outside the box on everything here.
Can we,
So I guess that was my question too. So like when do we have that like broad discussion, about what we're predicting we would be cutting?
Well, and like we're going to page turner, we'll be in there for hours tomorrow learning about phase 3. Unfortunately, don't have a crystal ball. Like they say, if things slow down, okay, if they keep going the way we are, we're in bigger trouble than we're even talking about here.
We're going to have to do some degree of just kind of making a decision instead of adjusting along the way. I don't know that we're ever going to get the certainty that we want in terms of this is how much money this is going to cost us. The money is set aside. It's part of the $75.5 million for this particular project.
So then Matt, like how do we as a board and as a district reprioritize? Like how do we go back to the drawing board and decide what are the most important aspects of the project that we absolutely need to get done. When does that discussion take place? Because I've never been part of this process before, so I'm just trying to understand, you know, when we'll get a fuller picture of what's ahead, obviously, after you do your page turners, right? But like, when do we get that overview of what different scenarios, I suppose, you know, of what we're looking at?
We'll know more about phase 3 tomorrow. We'll have additional cost estimates from the government. And then we'll have to make decisions whether the scope of phase 3 needs to be adjusted or whether it fits within the budget. When we did that for phase 2, we were very concerned about the phase 2 bids. How many alternates did we have for phase 2?
But 30 alternates.
What does that mean?
Alternates mean you break up the scope of work you're trying to do into, you keep the core work, but there are certain aspects you break out into separate items.
Okay.
So each contractor gives you a base bid plus a bid for alternate 1, alternate 2, alternate 3. So if the budget's threatened, we can sit as a group and say like, okay, we're going to eliminate alternate 3, which was the brand new fence or something like that, to get us back into budget.
Okay.
So those kind of engineering, value engineering type aspects is what we're going to have to do. We did it in phase 2. We actually did it with the concession stand. We broke out a metal roof versus asphalt. We broke out hardy board versus vinyl. We broke out the sign package versus no signs. We broke out a lot of those things, and even eliminating some of the, top end stuff, we still can't get down to the number. So we'll know more tomorrow about what phase 3 looks like, and phase 4, I'm very concerned about the money we'll have available for the elementary buildings at the end of this period. So we have to be wise at each phase and be disciplined to continue to have monies available that were promised for the elementary buildings in phase 4.
And just so you understand, Will mentioned 30 alternates, okay? There's add alternates and deduct alternates. Add alternates would be something that we want to add to the project. These were all deduct alternates, okay? Saying this is the way the project was supposed to be. We don't know if we're going to be in trouble with the way the world is, so we put in a bunch of deduct alternates.
Well, I guess I'm holding on to hope when you say looking outside of the box. Trailers, something along those lines, because...
So what do we do, regroup, let you guys have that meeting and get some information on certain things? Like, okay.
Yeah. This is a major part of the project, which is why we're not talking about changing a color of something or whatever. We're talking about a major part of the project, which is why we thought it was really important to have some discussion about it, so.
Yeah, I appreciate figuring out the timelines too. I was even confused by it. Okay, so you guys will just report back to us? Okay, great. And part of that reporting back, can we include what some of those changes are, Joe? Is that possible?
You're talking about to
go from
the scale back,
yeah.
the $40,000,
Yeah.
the $44,000.
I mean, it doesn't need to be, brass door knobs instead of plastic or...
Absolutely. I mean, that was such a minor dollar amount where we are.
Right, well, that's why, again, I'm more saying I don't know if I personally, if I had the money in my pocket right now, I'd just go with the 200,000, so, if I had a coupon or if I had something.
I guess I didn't realize personally that like phase 1 melded into phase 2, into phase 3, into phase 4. I didn't realize that. I thought it was a certain amount for phase 1. That was it.
It only
Do you know what I
happens
mean?
if you have cost savings, you can throw that into phase 2.
Yeah.
we had
Cost overruns,
We
you're
had
taking
big
it out of phase
savings
2.
in
Yeah.
phase 1, they did an amazing job.
Yeah, and I didn't realize you could do that. I didn't realize you could take it out of phase 2.
Okay.
It's a total dollar amount for the project, so it's $75.5 million. So.
Okay. Thank you. Well, thank you for the discussion. Any other board discussion? Anything else that we want to talk about? Yes, we actually, Jody?
So I just kind of want to talk about what's presented, and I don't know if I'm supposed to motion, so Nicole, help me out here. a lot of things have been coming up with candidates that we've hired. Certifications, fingerprinting, and not always having all of the information available to us at the board. I know personally, I've gone on the New York State Teacher Certification website during board meetings, checking people's certifications, things like that. You notice I abstain or vote no from several votes for things that just don't jive with me. So what I'd like to do is, I don't know if it's a motion, somehow have what's presented to the board when candidates are on our agenda for us to approve, a checklist of what they went through. Were they fingerprinted? What are their certifications? Just so it's almost like a mini application, or dumb it down for us that aren't in the interview
Little
process.
boilerplate form.
Yes, something that's there. Okay, you know, applicant's name is Joe Smith. Joe Smith has been fingerprinted. Joe Smith's certifications are X, Y, and Z. They expire here. Just something to, it's already available because it's been vetted through HR, or it's vetted through wherever we did it. Somehow putting it in a dumb little, even index card form of, this is the candidate that's on the agenda, and here's everything that we have on them. No loose ends. Because I would never want to approve a candidate, like, as we know, I voted no on everybody that has had emergency COVID-19 certification. I've not voted on it, because by now you can get your certification. You're not stuck sitting there, like, go do it. So I'd like to see, not really sure what I'm asking for there, but I'd like more information on the hiring of candidates.
So it's
Hence,
in executive content
in
on the
executive
agenda.
content, right.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So if, I guess, I'm just going to throw something out there. Do you want to generate a list of a specific, I mean, you listed a few things right there, but you're talking about like certification dates, whether it's an emergency cert or whatever. And I do just want to caution, I mean, if somebody's legally able to teach, you know, or fulfill a role in a position, you know, in this district, I just want to be a little careful about saying no because we don't like the kind of certification. If it's a legal certification, it's a legal certification, right? If someone's able to teach, whether it's an emergency cert or whether it's, a regular cert. I'm just putting it out there for the good of the order. You know, if I guess I want to just not put us in a position that someone's going to say, why is it that you didn't approve me? And if it's, because they're legally certified through the emergency cert or another cert. I'm just giving one example.
Sure.
I think I want to be a little careful on that. Does that make sense for Jody?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
For me, I've abstained or voted no on certifications for several months now. And like the same thing with today, we had something pulled off of our agenda the very last minute, and it was an approval for someone, but not all of the ducks were in a row. So instead of having to figure out, like, why was this person pulled off the agenda? Did they not want the job? Was something wrong? Just like to, here you go. Here's all your ducks. They're in a row.
I think we have to have faith in our HR department that they're doing this work. I think it's going to be cumbersome for somebody to have to give us all that information when I don't necessarily want to know that information.
So what
I
about,
just think it's a lot
what about
more
if you
for them.
put together a list of what you're looking for?
I can do that.
Email Matt and the board?
Yeah, I mean, I think let's have the conversation, but if you throw it out there, they could take it and say to HR, how difficult would it be to, let's talk about how time-consuming, and maybe just start the conversation like you're doing now.
Yeah, instead of making a motion to do it tonight, maybe email the board and Matt your list.
Try to figure out.
I know what Jody's trying to say, though. Like, I mean, when you're approving all of these people for positions, and I assume HR does this, right? They have a checklist of everything that candidate has to have on file before they're put on the agenda. So I think that's just like a checklist. So you would want to see that. So I think that's what you're trying to say, just a streamlined checklist, like
I'm sure there's 9,000 steps to hiring a school district employee, and I'd like.
Or maybe we just don't know,
Right.
No, I mean, we have the information. That's why I think that's to Diane's point, kind of the HR department, does a job in vetting this, in vetting anybody that's going to be working for us. So I think that's kind of what Diane was getting at. But that being said, just to be responsive to the point that you're bringing up, maybe send that just to the list and start with the whole group so people can add or say, I'd be interested in seeing this. And then honestly, I think it's just a matter of sitting down with John and his team to say, okay, this is how accessible this is, and then just to say, hey, this would be really easy, or, these, you listed 5 things, these 3 things are super simple to put in there, this one's gonna be a little bit more laborious or whatever, but let's have the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Something.
Okay. I would think to the whole group, so that way people can kind of say, hey, I'd like to see this, or, whatever it is, so, yeah.
Got it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Good. Excellent. Excellent discussion tonight, guys. Thank you.
I know.
Let me just make sure I do this right.
Very affirming, Ed.
I'm not going to move on to adjournment, much as everyone's screwing. We're going to go into an executive session. May I please have a motion to move to executive session for the following reasons. For discussion related to collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law, and also to discuss the employment history of particular individuals.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Liz moves. I don't know your name. Jody seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move. Anyone opposed? Move 7-0, and we will not be conducting public business after. So thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Thank you for being here.